One of the fastest ways to tell what the level of client your business is attracting is by how your offers are named. You have to realize that before someone reads your website copy or your sales page copy, they are already making a decision based on what they see first. And if the name doesn't match the level of the offer, it creates hesitation before they even keep reading. Welcome to Seven Figure Copy, the show where we refine your messaging so it reflects the level you're now operating at with clarity and confidence. I'm Gina Whitehouse, your expert conversion copywriter, and this podcast is for established, expert-led female business owners who know their work is exceptional but suspect their website and sales copy may be underselling the caliber of what they deliver. In each episode, we'll explore how strategic, ethical copy elevates your website, sales pages, and core messaging so your words communicate trust before someone ever books a consult or starts a conversation with you. If you're ready for a trusted partner who helps you clearly articulate what you do and why it matters, then you're in the right place. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Seven Figure Copy podcast. My name is Gina Whitehouse, and I'm your expert conversion copywriter and messaging strategist. So before we get into today's episode, I want to remind you to go and download my copy caliber checklist. It's going to help you quickly see where your messaging, especially your offer positioning, is still operating at a lower level than your actual expertise. It's going to show you where you may be underselling yourself and where your messaging and copy may not be matching the caliber of your work. So go ahead and download that. You'll find it at my website at www.whitehousesm.com/caliber. All right. So a couple months ago, I was planning out the episodes for this season 3 of the podcast. And I had a conversation with a friend and I wanted to get her input about episode ideas. And she said, what about an episode that talks about naming your programs and what's aged well and what hasn't? So that is what we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to name your programs in a way that attracts those premium clients and customers that you want to work with. Over the last few months, I've had quite a few clients recently rework their offers or create new ones, and their goal is to attract more established, high-level clients and customers. So almost immediately, they get stuck on the name. There's a few reasons for this. Some of them are because they know that, well, they're no longer talking to beginners anymore. Their business has evolved in some way, okay? They also get stuck on a name because they know that they don't want to undersell their expertise. They don't want to undersell their program, their product, or their offer. And their name needs to call in, basically, when I say call in, I mean attract a completely different level of buyer. But as you know, we've talked about this all season, that when it's hard to step out, that it's hard, right, to step outside of your business because you're looking at, what you already have, your offers and what you've already done. So sometimes it's hard to step outside of that and come up with a new name, right? And we always want it to also tie back to the brand of your business. So most times what I see is that they default back to some kind of familiar language or name that they've used before. And that's usually when they come to me and they ask me for some kind of feedback. So if you've been listening to me for a while, you may already know this, but if you haven't, I want you to know that I am all about the research. So when a client comes to me, I don't want to guess your copy. I don't want to guess what is going to speak to your target ideal audience. Okay. No, I like to go in and I like to dig into the research. And many times that means that I am actually calling up or Zoom chatting with your most happy clients and customers. And that's where I get that language that we put in your website copy so that it speaks directly to them. And they hit that page and they say, oh my gosh, I love this offer. This is exactly what I need. Okay. So because I don't like to guess, I also don't like to guess when it comes to naming and positioning your offers. I want to look at the research and I want to pull from how your real clients and customers describe their problems, their hesitations, and what they actually value. So if your ideal client has changed, sometimes what we need to do is to go back and redo that research, even if that means interviewing some of, I'll say, like your newest best clients again. If your ideal client has changed over time, then we don't want to just keep pulling language back from your happy clients and customers from the past. But if they've changed, we need to go and interview some new ones. So because without that, it's very easy to end up with a name that may sound good, but doesn't actually attract the right buyer. I bring this up just to make you aware that sometimes it's not as easy as just coming up with another name. Sometimes you really do have to go back, whether you're doing it yourself or bring in someone like me to go back, interview your new clients and customers, go back and research to really come up with a name that is not going to undersell your new offer or your reworked offer. So let's walk through 4 patterns that I actually see all the time where offer names, they don't attract those premium buyers that you want to work with, okay? They're not elevated to the place where they're going to attract those people. Okay, so the first one here is overusing emotional language. At a certain level, premium buyers are not looking for emotional language in the name of your offer. What they're really looking and listening for is this question. They're thinking, do you understand the level of problem that I'm dealing with? Let's use the example of a business coach, okay? And they may have a program that used to use the words something like from overwhelmed to aligned, okay? This is going to call in more beginner level clients, and you're the kind of business coach that now you want to work with some more higher level clients, people who have more established businesses. Okay. So I'd recommend moving from using the words like from overwhelmed to align to actually naming your program something like the Clarity Advantage or the Clarity Protocol. Again, they're looking to see if you understand the level of the problem that they're dealing with. And it might be less about overwhelm and feeling aligned. Right? This is emotional language to a more elevated language saying the clarity, right? They are looking for clarity. They're not looking so much for, okay, I'm feeling very overwhelmed right now. I need to be aligned. They're looking for, no, I need like a clear framework. I need clarity in, and then fill in the sentence there. Okay. So again, it brings us back to they're looking for, are you understanding the high level of the problem I'm dealing with? The next type of name that I want you to think about is what I would call like a vague transformation name. Okay. So let's do a before after example here. Perhaps you're a leadership coach and you had an offer that was called the Transformation Experience. Again, that's just like a little vague. Okay, transformation. What kind of transformation? All right, we're getting an experience here. Like, what is that? Right? It's just very vague, kind of generic, not something that someone can completely see themselves in right away. Okay, we want them to identify with something in that name. Premium buyers, they want to know, what is this? And like, what does it actually do? Okay. So using words like experience and transformation, they sound good, but they don't really hit on anything specific. So perhaps instead of using something like the transformation experience, you could call it the executive alignment intensive. So right away, we're thinking, okay, this is executive level. We're going to be aligning something here. Okay. And it's an intensive. So it might not be a very long period of time that this offer goes on. It might be a smaller group and really digging into that one specific problem so you can leave with a solution. We're very intended on being intensive in this offer. So you can see here, we're going from a vague transformation name to something that's just a little bit more narrowed down. We know it's for an executive. We're going to be aligning something. And of course, the subheadline is going to explain more of exactly what that is. And it's an intensive. It's not an experience. It's something that we are going to intensely focus on. All right. Third naming pattern I want to look at is what I would call cute or diminishing names. All right. So again, you've probably heard me say this a million times, that we need to be clear in everything we do. Your messaging has to be clear, opposed to being cute or clever, or what's the other word I use? Cute, clever. Well, obviously not confusing, but I know this is another C word. I'm trying to remember what it is. Cute, clever. I can't remember right now. It will come back to me. But anyways, so let's look at a before or after example here. We're going to use the example of a brand strategist. So perhaps she had the name of a program called the Confidence Club. Now, let me also tell you right now, I'm just coming up with examples. I'm not thinking of anyone specifically, okay? I actually don't know anybody who has the name The Confidence Club, but I'm sure there's one out there because it's a pretty easy name to come up with, okay? So she has a branding program and it's called The Confidence Club, all right? I would say if you want to attract a more premium buyer, you want to name it something like the Personal Brand Positioning System. So The Confidence Club, it sounds cute, it sounds maybe fun. It's some kind of club. But to me, it feels a little small and we don't want it to feel small. Okay. We want to attract that premium buyer and we want them to feel like we are giving them something tangible and complete and whole. And so that's why I think, and again, you could come up with probably different names for this. I'm just using this for the sake of example, but the Personal Brand Positioning System. So we know that this is a brand strategist that's offering this program. So the people that she's going to attract are going to want to be people who want to work on their branding. That's what she helps them with. So we put it in the name there. Okay. And then we have personal. So they know that they're going to get some personalized attention, or that it's going to, it's going to relate directly personally to them. And we're offering them a system. Okay. The Personal Brand Positioning System. A lot of times when I think about the word system, I think, system or like a framework. It's something that you're going to work through step by step. It's very tangible. Okay. So this new name, it doesn't feel small. It feels whole. It feels big. It feels personal. And it speaks exactly to the thing that this person's going to be teaching, which is branding. If you've ever thought, my business has evolved, but my website still feels pieced together, or my expertise is strong, but my messaging doesn't reflect the level I operate at, I want you to know right now that you're not alone. Every established business owner reaches this point where your growth just outpaces your message. And when your message doesn't match the offer or the service you provide now, it costs you credibility, clarity, and premium opportunities. So I'm here today to tell you that I want to help you go from second guessing how you're presenting your offers and expertise to showing up online with messaging that feels cohesive and aligned with the caliber of your work. Today, I'm inviting you to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me to determine whether you need a strategic copy audit or high converting done for you copy that finally reflects the level you're operating at. Go to the show notes today to book your call or visit www.whitehousesm.com. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to naming your program is over-explaining the name. All right. So these are 4 patterns, right? So this is the 4th pattern. And let me give you an example. There may be a name of some kind of product or program offer that's called the 12-week Mindset Business Confident Transformation Program. There's a lot to say there, right? We're over-explaining it a little bit. All right. So let's use this example as if it is actually someone who is a financial planner who has this type of offer for their clients. Okay. So if it is like a group program and it's a 12-week program, or maybe it's a 12-week one-on-one program, we don't need to say that in the title. We could always put it in the sub headline. Okay. So think about that. Let's also think about, okay, what else could we call this? I know, I'm coming up with this in my head. We're making up this scenario that this financial planner, this person that helps you with your finances, she wants to bring clarity to your world, to your life through financial help. So here's what I am going to propose for the name. It's going to be called the Financial Clarity Reset. And then again, in the subheadline, you can say this is a 12-week program for, you're going to name your ideal target audience, and then end with like 1, 2, or at the most 3 benefits that they're going to get. And you're going to have that in the subheadline. But remember, the subheadline is just, it's like one sentence that you'll see it like above the fold on your sales page. It will be one sentence that's under the name of your program. So premium buyers, they don't need everything listed in the title. Okay. They're looking for clarity. They're not looking for you to convince them in the title, but in the subtitle, that's where you can add more of the details. So we want to keep that name from getting too long. I would say like 4 words max for the name. Of course, there's times when this rule can be broken, but that's just the guideline that I use when it comes down to naming offers. Okay, so I want to point out something here. A premium offer name should feel like something that you can repeat. Number 1, repeat. 2, refer to. And 3, recognize quickly. I also want to discuss one more thing, and that is that there are also words and phrases in offer names that just haven't really aged well. And it's because either the market has been saturated with this type of name or phrase or word, perhaps people don't relate to it anymore, or the market has matured. So let's go through a few of these examples that I have seen over the years that really don't work very well anymore. So I don't know how much you were paying attention to these things in the 2010s, but I was there at that time and I was doing online business. It was a different business, but something that I saw all the time, especially, was these couple of phrases, things like boss babe, girl boss, hustle. Those were around everywhere. I do not see those working very well now. I feel like they've been really overly used. Another thing would be having some kind of title that has like the word secrets in it for some kind of offer. I've just seen that it kind of perks people's ears up, not in a positive way, but in a negative way where they're like, okay, secrets, automatically they start doubting or hesitating. And the other phrase that I think is pretty outdated now is a title that has the phrase passive income in it. Now, I'm not saying at all that passive income is not something that can happen. You could absolutely build that into your business, but it doesn't come as easily as many people sell it as, right? It takes work. It doesn't just happen overnight by snapping your fingers and now you have passive income coming in like that. It is a lot of work. So when people hear passive income in the title of of like your offer, again, it kind of creates some of that hesitation, some of that trust. We've been talking a lot about that, like over the last few months, is the trust recession and some of the objections and hesitations people have. So I would personally steer away from using not only these examples, but hypey names or hypey phrases that make things sound like really quick and fast or no effort, or again, the thing like the girl boss, the boss babe, hustle. So we may have differing opinion here, but I'm just relaying to you what I've seen and what I have experienced what I have experienced that creates a little bit of hesitation when people land on a page and they're looking to buy and they're looking to see if this is the right fit for them. A lot of these phrases, they worked at a certain time, but I would say that today, again, they signal things like beginner level positioning, some possible surface level strategy, or outdating marketing cycles. What I'm seeing is that premium buyers right now, they are more discerning and they've already tried a lot of these approaches. So when they hit language like this, it can create that distance instead of the trust that we want to be building with them. We also have the other end of the spectrum, and that's where a more aggressive style of naming that you'll often see in what people call bro marketing is not working as well right now either. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here. And what I want you to notice about this language is that it often relies on pressure and urgency, or some kind of like ego-driven positioning. I don't know how else to say that. I don't want to use the word ego, but I don't know how else to say it. So here are some examples. Programs and offers and products that are named things like dominate your market or crush your competition, explode your revenue, or something that's called scale fast or stay broke. Especially that scale fast or stay broke. That's very, how would I say? Very extreme on each end, right? And sometimes that's what I would call like hype marketing, when it's like it's a either or, right? You either do this or you're going to be this. You better scale fast or you're just going to stay broke. We know that's not true, right? We know that there is a happy middle. So any kind of language in your title of your offer that relies heavily on pressure or urgency instead of clarity or trust or really decision-making confidence, that can hurt your offer. So we just want to be careful in these certain areas and how we are naming these offers. You know, if you're someone who values long-term clients, if you sell really high-level services and if you want your brand to feel stable and trusted, right? Trust is so important. Then this type of naming usually doesn't align with that. So we just kind of want to stay away from it, okay? And I also want you to think about this. If your offer, if it still sounds like something from 5 years ago, there could also be a chance that it's not speaking to the level of the client and customer that you're trying to pull in, okay? It's possibly not speaking to like the level that you're even operating at right now, just simply because businesses mature as time goes on. So if you're trying to name something and it sounds like something that you did 5 years ago, most likely it doesn't match today. So we need to come up with something new. When you look at higher level offers, especially across different industries, you'll also start to notice a pattern in how they're named. So a lot of high level offers, they tend to follow a simple structure. Now, I'm not saying that every program, product, service, name, offer name has to fall into this, but I'm just going to give you some examples of a simple structure that you can use when you're trying to come up with that first draft of your offer name. So it could be called the blank method or the blank protocol, the blank intensive, the blank framework, or the blank system. And I want to say again that you can just use these to come up with like that first draft. It doesn't have to follow this exactly. There's no, how do I say? I don't want to say that there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's definitely a wrong way to do this, but there's many right ways to do this. But just use these suggestions as a starting place and then refine after. And I want to add to that we should pause here for a second because this really matters. This isn't about following a formula or getting it right, especially the first time, okay? There are always exceptions and there are always brands that break these patterns and actually make it work. But what the difference is here is that they know exactly why it works. And it's because they're not guessing and they're not hoping for it to just work. They're not just guessing with a title for their offer and putting it out there and they're hoping. No, they're very intentional about how they're choosing to break the rule and name their program. So what we're talking about here is really understanding what signals your messaging is sending. We're also talking about really understanding who your ideal client or customer is. And we need to understand these, again, kind of hearkening back to what I talked about at the beginning of this episode, doing the research. Okay, we want to understand these things so you can decide on a purpose what you want to communicate and who you want to communicate it to. All right, to wrap things up here, I want to talk about why everything we've discussed here today, why it works. Okay, so what these names signal, the names we've talked about today in the framework that I've given you, what they signal is structure, credibility, and a defined process. They sound like something that's been built refined, and proven versus something that's just cutesy or an overly clever name, which really relies more on like personality and creativity, but it doesn't clearly communicate this is a serious solution to a real problem. That's what we want to communicate. This is a serious solution to a real problem that you have. So your ears should perk up and look into this offer to see if it's right for you. Because these clients and customers that you want to bring into your business, they are not buyers that are looking to be entertained. They want to have certainty about the thing that they are investing their money in to buy from you. And I also want you to remember that with your title of your offer, you're going to have a subtitle and it has to carry some weight here. So let's use the example of a program or like an offer called the Clarity Code. It also has to have some kind of subtitle that goes with it. And it could be called, it could say like a messaging strategy process for established business owners ready to attract premium clients. Okay. So that name, what it does is the Clarity Code, it creates recognition, but the subtitle creates the positioning. It tells who it's for and what it is. So if the subtitle is weak, then the entire offer is going to feel unclear. So you do have to put thought into what that subtitle is going to be so that it is a good foundation for the name of your offer. What I want you to get from this is that your offer name, it's not just a title, it's actually a filter, and it's going to tell the right people that this is for them or that this isn't for them. So if your messaging still sounds like an earlier level of your business where you were even 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, or if your messaging still sounds like it's for a different level of client or customer that you want to work with, then you're going to continue to attract those people. So what we need to do is recalibrate your messaging and even in the smallest details of the title of your offer so that you attract the newer version of the people that you want to be working with now. So if your offers are strong, which I know they are, all my clients, they have wonderful, strong offers. And I'm willing to bet that if you are listening right now, you have an offer that is really strong too, and that helps so many people. But if your messaging is still attracting the wrong level of client or customer that you want to have buy from you or that you want to work with, this is an area where you need to like look a little deeper now. Okay. This isn't just about renaming a title. It's also about making sure that all the supporting copy, like your website copy and your sales page copy that it actually reflects that level or that caliber that you're actually operating at now. And this is exactly what I do. This is how I help my clients. And I do it in a variety of ways. I write done for you, high converting copy. And I also do messaging strategy sessions. And sometimes you just need a second eye from someone outside your business looking at your copy. And this is when I come in and do audits. Many of the established business owners that I work with, again, they know their offers are strong, but they just don't feel like the caliber of their messaging and the copy that they're using right now matches that caliber of what they are selling. And often that's why they're not attracting the right clients, the ones that they really, really, really want to work with. So if that's where you are right now, don't hesitate. You can book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me. Just go to my website, www.whitehousesm.com, and you'll see a button at the top to book a call with me. And that's where we can just talk. You can tell me, okay, Gina, this is the challenge I'm having right now. And we can figure out, are we the right fit to work together? Because again, you've probably heard me say this in other episodes too, but I'd like to repeat it, that I may not be the right copywriter for you, and you may not be the copywriter right client for me, or we are perfect to work with each other. So that's why I love to offer the 30-minute complimentary copy chat, because we could talk about your business, what your offers are right now, what the challenges are, and we can fill each other out to see, hey, are we right to work with each other? So I'll leave you with this as we close, that your messaging and your copy, and even that small little copy of the title of your offer, it needs to match the level you're working at now. It needs to match the caliber of the great work you do so that your future clients and customers understand faster, trust you faster, and are ready to move forward fast in working with you or buying for you. So thank you today for listening and having this little chat about how to name your program, and look back at some of the programs you have now. It may even be worth looking back and saying, okay, if my ideal client has changed and I'm still offering this thing, but it still seems to be attracting the level of someone that I don't work with anymore, then you can even go back and think about changing the name of that offer. All right, everybody, have a great day, a great week, and we'll chat next time. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on this episode of 7-Figure Copy. If this conversation resonated and you know that your messaging, that your copy is not matching the caliber of the wonderful work that you do, then please reach out to me at whitehousesm.com to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat. Let's see if we're the right fit for each other and if I'm the right conversion copywriter for you. And I'll see you next time.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.